This past week, I finally decided to get my two cichlid tanks switched around. I moved the Julidochromis marlieri to this tank, and most of the multis to this tank. Even though the water parameters are very similar in the two tanks, I bagged up the Julidochromis so that I could acclimate them slowly. The multis are a little more resilient, so my daughter helped me pick up the shells and move them over. We even tried, as much as possible, to preserve the shell beds. To a large extent, it worked. Two pairs of multis seem to have stayed in the same shell beds that they were in the other tank, though some of the other fish have moved, including, interestingly, the multis that were already in the larger tank. So far, everything is going well, although larger tanks are generally recommended for larger species of Julidochromis like the one I have. So why did I make this switch? One reason was the coloration of the fish. The Julidochromis male didn't seem to change much when I had them in the larger tank with the lighter pool filter sand, but the female was looking decidedly washed out. I liked the look of the Julidochromis much better on the darker substrate. The female's coloration has already improved since I moved them. The multis are becoming much paler on the lighter sand substrate, but fortunately, their pattern and coloration look just fine when they're lighter. Another reason for the switch was for better usage of space. The Julidochromis spend the vast majority of their time in and around the rockwork. They just weren't utilizing the space in the 29-gallon very well. And while things may change, for now, they don't appear to be interested in breeding. The population of multis, on the other hand, is increasing. Videos of large groups of multis in the wild, as well as in relatively large aquariums, show that they will utilize height in a tank. Many of them swim up higher in the water column, while others maintain territories in the shell beds. I want to try to replicate this. And I bought a bag of 36 more shells so I can add them as the colony grows. The third motive for the move was the visibility of egg crate caused by the multis' excavations. I really wasn't a fan of how the exposed egg crate made the tank look. I removed the egg crate from the 29-gallon and recut it to go under the rockwork in the 20-gallon. Julidochromis seem to dig a lot less than multis do, so it should be less of a problem. A final rationale for the exchange was to improve multi bloodlines. I'm hoping that I can keep the fish I don't want breeding out of the main tank and keep them with the Julidochromis. So the multis in this tank are the ones with issues. One can't close its mouth properly, a couple have kinked spines, and another has some issues with its forehead. I may not be able to add any additional multis to this tank, since the longer the resident multis have to establish their territories, the harder it will be to introduce new multis. This tank isn't really big enough to add more fish anyway. Another thing I've learned and need to keep in mind is that fish may be compatible for 10 minutes, or 10 months, or 10 years, and it's not a guarantee that everything will continue to work. This will be particularly true in my case if the Julidochromis decide to breed, so I will have to keep a sharp eye on how the fish in this tank are getting along. Realistically, I may end up needing to rehome the Julidochromis marlieri entirely. A 20-gallon tank is considered a minimum tank size for a pair of some of the smaller Julidochromis species, and marlieri is actually one of the larger ones. So I'm perfectly aware that this setup is a bit risky, but I also think that individual fish temperament, the aquascape, and other factors can have a crucial influence on fish behavior. For now, though, I'm optimistic that the switch will result in a large, thriving colony of multis and a flourishing pair of Julidochromis marlieri. Thanks for watching. I post videos every Friday, all related to keeping aquarium and vivarium pets. You're most welcome to leave a comment and a like, and for those of you who are waiting for an animal voiceover at the end, here's one.